An architect lacked sensitivity. They completely neglected the past. They wanted to do something more modern, but what ends up happening to me is that I call them the mausoleum-esque style, because they more resemble mausoleums than religious architecture. And they tend to focus just on the fire instead of all of nature. The older buildings focused on all of nature rather than just the fire. And here in North America, there's often a question of whether or not we really need a building in a community. And the answer is absolutely yes. Architecture becomes the focal point of a community. I'm from Chicago, and I could not imagine our community without Darby Mayor. It's just part of our lives, and when we think of our community, we think of the architecture as well. And the architecture becomes a part of our lives. So there's the tangible, where it becomes a place to gather, a place to worship, and in some ways it's an investment because land value is usually appreciated. There's also the intangible, which is that it gives the community a sense of pride. So it creates a sense of pride for the community itself and for the children. It provides an image for the community, so not only for the Zoroastrians, but it also provides an image, and portrays an image to the outside world as well, to the non-Zoroastrians. It gives a sense of security. Once you have a home to grow and live in, you feel more secure. As a personal family, they feel that way, and also as a community, you feel the same way. Once you have a home, you feel a lot more secure. And of course, it creates a lasting legacy for the future generations. So the building approach, to me, inspiring design is critical and important. Once again, it creates that community pride. If you have a beautiful house, you want to invite people over to show your house, and you feel good being in your house. And like I had mentioned in the previous slide, not only does it give the Zoroastrian community a sense of pride, but it needs to portray an appropriate image to non-Zoroastrians. So here, there's two car companies, and you can see how their architecture is completely different. This is the headquarters for Honda, and you can see a very traditional, more traditional architecture. And this is the headquarters for BMW, which is a much more radical architectural building design. And both of those buildings portray a completely different image, which matches the company itself. So currently in North America, I think our communities have done an amazing job. And it's a great accomplishment that in only 25 to 30 years, we've been able to build these great communities that we have. But these are good starting points, and now we have to go a step beyond just building a place to meet. And now we have the resources and the knowledge to build something that's more appropriate and creates a Zoroastrian environment. So my building approach is to look at the past, not copy the past, but to understand the good benefits and the good parts about the past in those buildings. So we build for the present, and building for the present means that we balance the religious and the cultural. Up until now, most of our religious architecture in North America has focused only on the cultural center and the assembly hall, which is a great place to meet, but not a very good place to pray. To me, it's important to create that Zoroastrian environment where one feels comfortable inside the building, where you don't feel overwhelmed and overwhelmed by the building. And of course, we use modern building technologies. So we build a modern building. We don't build a building that could have been built 100 years ago. And the building, to me, should also be cohesive with its surroundings. So we don't build a building that is meant for India. We build a building that's meant for here in North America that is cohesive with its neighbors and doesn't stand out from its neighbors. And then, of course, we think about the future. So we design the building in such a way that we can expand in the future. So my first project, which I'm very proud of, is opening May 7th, is the Zoroastrian Center in Dallas. So it's been, we've been working with them for a while, and finally the building is just about to open in May 7th. This was the original rendering, and then this is the building in its final stages of construction. They're just installing light fixtures and plumbing fixtures, and they just had their final building inspection, which went very well. So it seems like they're on the path to a nice dedication. These are a few more pictures. You can see here the prayer hall is here. This is the entrance. There's going to be a forward here, and there's also another forward on right here. We have the forwards made in India and shipped back here. And this is the entrance here through a veranda. We were able to put the steps in here. And then this is the backside with a nice patio here, and what will be a nice garden in the back here. And these are some pictures of the prayer hall. You can see we didn't want to copy the Goomba Tower exactly from India. Here we felt that we wanted to be a little bit more open than what we have in India. So we made this a little bit more open, but still the traditional Goomba Tower, where the fire would be kept here, and then the prayer hall on 3 sides. We did the light coming in from above, and we have these benches here and niches for the books. And so when you're standing in the space, it feels like a spiritual and religious space. And so the emphasis with this building was not only the cultural, but also the religious side. And now we're going to talk about your building. So the site is right here, which I'm sure most of you have been to or seen. The main road is right here. So we had a site that's a little bit less than 2 acres, with the building that's about 7,000 square feet. This is an open space, 6 acres of open space, which is owned by the township, which means that it will not be built upon. So we put the driveway here, and the building sort of facing this open space, and what will be back here is the activity field. The drop-off will be right here, and this will all be parking. The building is here. This is the assembly hall. This is the services area, and then the prayer hall is here. So my thought was that we have 2 buildings that are connected by this link in the middle here. Now, I wanted, like our fire temples in India, I wanted people to enter the building through a garden. So this is a front entryway garden with a small wall here to separate it from the parking lot. So you'll be able to come in through here, walk through the garden into the front entrance, which is here. And I'll show you a little bit more in detail on the next slide. And then in the back here, there's a second garden, which is a little bit more of a quiet garden. This is going to be the overflow parking, but you can see the parking spaces here, but it's really intended to be grass, and it's just overflow parking when there's a large function you need. So from the main hall, if there's a large function that needs a tent or something that could be built or used, you could use this activity field for a tent that flows into the main hall here. So this is a detail of the floor plan itself. So we have the assembly hall here with the stage. We have the services area, which is the kitchen, the bathrooms, and the shower for the non. This is the link between the 2 buildings. So you enter the building from here through the vestibule into this large atrium with skylights. The atrium straddles the assembly building, and over here is the prayer hall building. So it's all one building, but sort of separated into 2 different sides and connected by this link here. So on the prayer hall side, you'll come into what I call the anteroom, where you can tie your custody and wash your hands and face in the sinks here. There'll be a photo of Zarathustra here, centered on this opening here, and then into the prayer hall here. So again, the prayer hall will have a Goomba tower, and the standing room or sitting room around it here. And once again, I wanted to build in the benches, which become a part of the architecture. So the benches are built in along the sides, and there's also niches for books. Now, in the prayer hall, I wanted it to be a bright space, but I still wanted to limit the views to the outside. So what we've done is to put high windows on all 3 sides here. So you have high windows that let the light in, but don't let the views out. Then there's the back garden, which is here. So there's a quiet garden that's accessible from the anteroom here for praying. This will be a fountain, which represents the well. Here in North America, we can't do a real well, but we can replicate that by doing a fountain. So this is the back garden area with a compound wall. And then this is the front garden area. So you'll come from the parking lot, and you'll go through this garden into the main building here. And these will be large doors that can open onto the activity field. So if there's a large function that can't all be accommodated inside the system,